because I feel like my purpose is now so big. It's really, as I've mentioned before, it's to restore the family dynamic on this planet. And so I can't sit back anymore. I have to still maintain my support role with Grant and us, because that's our foundation. But now I have this opportunity to help people and couples also figure out how to get along and work well and have the similar successes. And I'm passionate about women, empowering women so that they own their power, so that they can be stronger in their lives, but then they can have the power, which is capacity or the ability to influence the behavior of others. Then they can influence their brothers, their sisters, their husbands, their children, and the ripple effect continues. They can then be the power of their community and the world, and women can change this world by really stepping up and owning that power.
This is the Alden Report.
Folks, before we get into our next guest, I'm super excited about our latest program. Look, we've been on television for close to 20 years, literally selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products and services that have had a positive impact on people's lives. We've created millionaires. If you've ever watched television, you've most likely seen me on television, not dressed like this, but in a suit and in a tie. Listen, we've re-engineered the process. We're allowing people, a small group of people, whether you're an author, whether you're a business coach, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you have a program or a service that you feel as though that can have a positive impact on people's lives, and you want to up-level your game. You're tired of what's going on social media. You're tired of AI is not kicking in. You're tired of all the money that you spent and you're not seeing any return. You're tired of all these fraudsters out there that tell you they're going to put you in Huffington Post or USA Today or Forbes, and it's nothing just but a joke. You want to be in front of millions of people every single day all over the country. Folks, we've been doing it for 20 years. We've re-engineered the process. We've made it possible for the average everyday person to participate in this. If you want to up-level your game, if you truly want to build your profile, if you truly want to get in front of millions of people every single day, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. You'll see it on the bottom of the screen, at Mike Alden 2012, and put TV in the message, and I will get back to you personally and see if you're a good fit for us. Again, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. Send me the message TV, and we'll see if you're a good fit.
This is the Alden Report.
All right, my name is Mike Alden. We are here in Blue Bay Studios, and I tell you, I'm super excited for my next guest. My next guest is an entrepreneur. She's an author. She's a social media influencer. She's an actress. She's doing all these things, and she's also the builder of empires. Folks, I tell you, if you want to learn from someone who is doing great things and has done great things, this is an episode you're definitely not going to want to miss. Please help me welcome Elena Cardone. Elena, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, man, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, before we went live, I was saying I don't think we've actually met face-to-face, but thank you for doing this and spending the time. I'm excited to have you on. And again, I think you've done some great things. So let's just kind of start, I guess, really from the beginning of your career. So in your career, you started out as a model and an actress. I'm always fascinated by kind of how that world starts. Like, how do you kind of get into that world at a young age?
Well, it's interesting. I'm sure everybody's journey is different. My father wanted to be a radio actor. I mean, he's passed away now, but he
Uh-oh, we lost you. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Then, unfortunately, I had the situation happen when I had just turned 14 years old, and my friend Goldie, who lived across the street from me, perished in a fire. Unfortunately, it was pretty devastating for me. I witnessed the whole thing. It was very traumatic at 14 to have to confront something so devastating, to say the least. So I kind of went on a very dark path where I just used drugs to self-medicate and kind of go numb. And but the burnt out house was always there. So every time I went in and out of my house, it was directly across the street from me. So I had to see that house. And then you put drugs on top of the whole scene. And I lived in New Orleans. It was wild. I had more friends that died because of the scene I was living in, with overdoses, suicides, accidents, random stuff. It was just a very chaotic and painful life. And I just always knew from school I wasn't really great in school. I was more of an artist. I was a visionary. I was always daydreaming. I was always playing out scenarios in my head. Well, what if we did this? And what would that look like? And this and the different roles and people. And I just thought everybody did that. But really, that was my mind. But it doesn't really serve in the school system and academia world. So I knew at a very early age that I had to get out of New Orleans if I was going to really survive. And to be honest, I had no desire to go to college or do anything like that. So I found that I could use acting as a way to escape things. I went to a public high school. It was pretty rough. And in order to get out of that, in my 9th grade, I found this school called the New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, where I auditioned as an actress to get into the school. I got into the school, and what that did was it took me out of the public school for half. I only had to go there half a day for the main electives or whatever they call that. And then I could go to credits or whatever. And then I could go to the arts center. So acting saved me to getting out of that public school. And then at 17, I auditioned in front of a modeling agency, and they said, yeah, come on out. And so at 17, I knew no one, and I said, I'm going. My parents were like, you can't do this. You're going to get peer pressured. And I sat him down and I was like, name a drug, other than cocaine and heroin, like name one. Okay, I'm actually leaving to go make something out of myself. And after they picked their jaws off of the ground, they conceded and said, fine. And so I went to Los Angeles to build my career and to escape New Orleans. So that's how I got into acting. It was really my last resort of what can I do? Being this girl from New Orleans, I'm not like a quote unquote smart person. So that was really my only option, and I loved it. So that's how I got into it. Quite a story, right?
Yeah. Boy. The interesting part about your story is I hear a lot of that with entrepreneurs and people that have done great things. Is they start out really, really difficult. And as I'm listening to your story, obviously we'll talk a little bit about Grant. Grant had similar troubles when he was younger. Certainly could not be a model. No, maybe he probably could.
That's true.
But so. Okay, so you leave Louisiana, and by the way, I didn't realize that too, because Grant's from Louisiana too, so that's interesting.
No, yeah, Louisiana. Grant's from Lake Charles, and I'm from New Orleans. So yeah, we're both from Louisiana.
Oh, that's funny. So then you go to LA, which it probably is even maybe even a worse kind of town to be in if you had some challenges with with drugs and things like that. Were you nervous that when you went out there that you could potentially fall into the same thing?
No, because honestly, and I'm just going to be honest, I felt like LA was tame compared to my life in New Orleans. New Orleans was really 24/7. The bars didn't close. I wouldn't go out until literally midnight as a teenager and not come home till 7 a.m. I used to come with sunglasses. And I feel like I grew up in the punk rock hardcore era. I had shaved half of my head. My sister had a 2-foot white mohawk. So I felt like I had seen some things on the streets in New Orleans. And so when I went to LA, it gave me a sense of, I could sort of see through a lot of the street stuff. So the rich guys that wanted to buy women were just very apparent to me. It wasn't like they could influence me to get in their good behavior, because I had a punk rock background. So that was already the antithesis of the type of person that I wanted to be or assimilate with. So, and I really knew that I was going there to really try to get myself to a better place in life. So even though it is a very insidious atmosphere on a whole other level, I wasn't worried about falling into the drug world because I realized that those people couldn't influence me on that line.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as I'm listening to you as well, I think about essentially, your education, right, which was the street smart stuff, and so many successful entrepreneurs, kind of have that street smarts, right? You don't necessarily need the academics, to be successful. Do you feel like even today and where you're at today that your upbringing and your ability to just really kind of almost see through people and their true intentions, do you think that difficulty in the way you grew up has really helped you even, fast forwarding now into your life?
Oh, 1,000,000%. It's very ironic because I grew, I had that environment that I lived in for so long, and it did give me a street smart with especially the drug world and how to conduct myself on the streets. But in business, what's interesting and so duplicitous is that in business in the beginning, I had a tendency to be a bit naive in business because I'd never been around business people before, so I didn't understand the streets of the business world. So in the beginning, I kind of thought, well, they know more than me and they're successful and they have finances that I didn't have or come from. So I kind of put them in this elevated category, which was a mistake. And then I assumed that they knew more. And then I kind of went a little bit naive where I believed what they said because, I compromised my knowingness from the streets. And then I realized, wow, I wasn't naive on the streets, but now I'm naive in business. And then I realized, well, okay, so that's a weakness. So I put a policy with myself that everything would have to get run through a filter, which is similar to things that you do on the streets, right? But I ran everything through a filter of, am I being naive? So now when people tell me things, I run through that and I don't take what they say for face value. I look at the statistics. What have you done? Who's your background? What are the people like you around? Are they having success around you? What are your relationships? What are the subjects that you talk about? All of this kind of things are my little markers and red flags for being able to graph and put somebody in a category to protect myself and my empire now. But I actually had to learn the business world is different from the street world in a sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. In a second, I want to talk to you a little bit about those early stages in your career and, the moment or moments that really kind of helped you early on in your career as a model and an actress. Again, we're on with Elena Cardone. We're just getting started. This is the Alden Report. I'm super excited to have her on. If you're not following Elena Cardone, you just need to check her. I mean, you could just Google her, but you can also go to elenacardone.com. You can check her out on Instagram at Elena Cardone. And I believe your TikTok is Elena Cardone Official. Yes? You're on your TikTok.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Definitely check her out, see what she's doing. She also has a book out, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But man, I tell you, we've had some powerful women on this on this show, and I'm excited to have her on. So make sure you give her a follow. Early on in your career, so you go there at 17, which is just it's somewhat incomprehensible to think about that. When especially when you did it, because they're like right now, right? In theory, you could get on Instagram, you could get on Twitter, you could get on Facebook, you could try and connect with people, get on Clubhouse, right? Try and figure out a way to connect with people. But so you go out there without anybody. Talk a little bit about, your growth as an actress and as a model and what you did, because back then, again, and I still think that all this stuff probably applies today. I think it was a lot harder to meet people. And to also to be able to meet people that are going to help elevate you. I'd love to hear about what your steps were like when you literally got off that plane in LA.
Well, my sister was there she stayed with me for a week while I looked for places to stay and whatnot. And I had a modeling agency there that was willing to represent me. So So it's not really fair to say I knew no one there. I knew a modeling agency there. But I just started to meet the other models. I don't know, I just started to network and study the ropes and learn the ropes. And I really, because I'm an artist and a visionary, I study people. I was an actor, right? So by nature. So I just started to really study people. And that's when I started to really put the pieces together about people. And Los Angeles really became the petri dish for my not so scientific studies. But one of the biggest things that I'm so grateful that LA taught me, which I think is such an incredible takeaway, if anyone on here can really process this information, it's when I learned about people, and the people that, first of all, confronting that evil people exist, and there are people that actually want to see the demise of you, was a very hard concept for me at first. But what I learned is that the people who even pretend to be your friends and loved ones and only doing things just because they care about you and they love you so much, what those people will do in order to get you to introvert on yourself is they attack your strengths. So I always thought they would attack your weaknesses, right? But they don't. They attack your strengths. So whatever you think you're great at, in my case, I was there as an actress and a model, right? So what would they attack the strengths on? If I'm being paid as a model for my looks, what are the people around me that are going to want to control me do? They're going to start picking apart and nitpicking your looks. And that's why so many girls that are so talented as an actress and a model, they'll start picking at their bodies and introverting them on their bodies. Why? Because they have no strengths to lean back on. They're made to think, and they're picked apart. And I saw that over and over and over, how people can be manipulated by simply attacking their strengths. And then they'll end up feeding the weaknesses. So the weaknesses are the drugs, the excessive alcohols, the strip clubs, the porn, the whatever, the things that can weaken a human being. The people that actively want to see your demise and control you are the ones that will always lead you in those directions of your biggest weaknesses, and they will attack over and over and over in usually with a smile, your strengths. So that has been a huge benefit for me in my life going forward in business, and being able to protect my empire now that's the first thing I look for is, and it's not just a one-time thing. I'm looking for a trend, right? But the people that come in, that I can start seeing all the things that they do, right? They'll start cutting the real people who are connected to you, that really do flow power to you and that you are powerful with. They'll start cutting those people out of your life, so you have no power terminals to get stronger with. The power, electricity goes between 2 points. They'll cut them out. They'll attack your strengths. And I look for that. And I'm not confused by the people that are hard on you, the tough love people. Like when I wrote the book, Build an Empire, Grant was tough on my weaknesses. He called me a coward, lazy and a coward, when after 7 months of writing the book, I had no finished product. And he said, "Where's the book?" And I came up with all of my excuses. I'm not smart. I never wrote. I'm not school. I can't sit still. I couldn't even write an English paper. So I'm giving my excuses to keep me weak, and he hammered them out. It got me so infuriated that I finished the book within a month, and now I'm really proud of it. It rehabilitated my entire school years, because wow, now I'm an author. Like, I'm one of the smart people. Like, it just, and the book, I think, really can help a lot of people. So it was such a massive win. But the people who truly love you and support you will stamp and stomp on your weaknesses in order to make you greater. And they lead you away from your weaknesses, but they will push you, if need be, towards really your strengths. So I can't fault Hollywood. I learned a lot from that experimental project.
Wow, as they would say, there's a lot to unpack from what you just said. But as I'm listening to you, I think one of the big things, it sounds like, that you really developed as a skill is we're talking about trust and the ability to trust people, but also a la Ronald Reagan, trust but verify, right?
Yeah, which is crazy because the book, or as I say, not just the book, but anything having to do with empires, I say find the one you trust and build an empire. I mean, certainly no one's going to go marry and be with someone that they don't love. I mean, but so I'm off of love because love, whenever I've been married for almost 20, I've been with Grant for 20 years. I've been married for almost 19 years. So those feelings of love from my experience, they fade from time to time. You can just be like, or when you get angry or in a fight, sometimes you even think, oh, wow, like, I don't even know if I like this person. Like, I don't even, like, I've had those thoughts. I'm being real. I've had these thoughts like, oh my God. But then I always go back to, I trust him. I mean, he's monogamous. I'm monogamous. I have my roles in my relationship, which we've each dellied up. Who gets to run this department in our life, that department, who runs all the departments, and we say who gets to be the in charge. So even when I'm in an argument with Grant or feel I don't like him, which quite honestly hasn't been for a long time because we happen to be on a really good run right now. I don't know about your relationship, but mine has little things. Mine's been on a steady increase for the last year, but 2020 was our most difficult year in all transparency. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is that even when things aren't going great, he can trust me to execute and be 100% in my role, whether I like him or not. I'm still going to do 100% of all of the areas that I'm responsible for. And I can trust and depend on him to do the same. And neither one of us, just because we don't like each other at that moment when we happen to be in an argument, aren't going to go out and do something stupid to destroy the empire. Why? Because we trust each other. We respect each other. We are madly in love with each other, whether it feels like it or not in the moment. That there's no denying there's such an immense amount of love. Why? Because we help each other achieve our goals and our dreams. And that's when I fall more in love with him. And that's when he falls more in love with me. So the more we have to keep that in, so we're winning and helping each other. And we're fortified as a couple, fighting the enemy instead of each other, like we used to do in the beginning of our relationship. So that's why I say find the one you trust and build an empire.
Wow, man, I was listening to you. It's just awesome. One of the things I was thinking too about, your relationship with Grant. I know that you also, through the 10X Empire, you also, work with couples and kind of, teach them about, what makes your relationship great and help others as well. But I was thinking too, early on when you first, I know a little bit about the story because Grant's told it a bunch of times about how you guys met and you said no to him a million times and finally said yes. But when you first did, kind of start maybe dating Grant or getting involved in Grant, where you were at in life, you were still an actress, still a model. That in and of itself, you are an entity, you are a business, right? Like, Jay-Z, and I'm a businessman, businesswoman. But were they just two different lifestyles though? The way Grant lived his life and the way you lived your life in the beginning, was it something that you had to kind of learn and assimilate to? Is because I mean, a lot of people know Grant, and I don't know you that well, and I don't know Grant that well personally, but we've had some interactions. He seems like, somebody that's go, 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 go. He's all about business. He's all about growth. He's all about cash flow. Obviously, your cats are named Cash and Flow, right? But for you, was it something of a big adjustment for you to get involved in that life? And I know you also made some pretty big sacrifices with your own personal career as well.
Oh, 1,000,000%. I had only dated actors and musicians. I was in the art world. Grant was a businessman. That was very different for me. My life was at night. I would sleep in, but stay up really late. Grant was up at the crack of dawn. That was an adjustment. And, basically I was an artist. I didn't know anything about money, how to manage money, I didn't know how to do money. I spent money the second I got it. So yes, it was a big adjustment being with him and that lifestyle. I've always been high energy as well and can be go, go, go. So that was easy to keep up with and maintain. But you know, he's been my biggest mentor on finances and money and the way he thinks. He constantly impresses me. I'm still learning from him. My life wouldn't be the same or where it's at now without him. So it's been really amazing to learn and to grow with him. And he's still, I call him sensei. You know, he's just so above a black belt in business. He's a sensei. So I'm constantly learning from him, and it's really amazing. So yeah, he is my go-to guy in business, and it was a big change from the world that I was used to.
So, you know, you said 2020 was a difficult year for you. I think 2020. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think you were referencing, I think you're talking about maybe personally for you, I'm guessing, but I want to back up for a second. 2008, you know, Grant's talked about it a little bit. And I think, you know, anyone in the real estate world was, you know, really going through some difficult times, but I'd like to just know your perspective of what it was like for you and during that time when, you know, things were pretty precarious, not only for you, but for the whole world. And you guys had a lot on the line. And almost kind of going back to what you were saying before, a lot of people were just almost wishing for your downfall. But what was that like for you during that time? And did it make your relationship stronger?
Oh, that's the birth of the evolution of us. In 2000 and prior 2008, we had been married for the first 4 years. I've been indoctrinated my entire life, especially in Hollywood. Be this strong, and I thought to be a powerful woman meant I had to be independent and depend on no one, especially a man. So I was really cutting my nose off to spite my face for so many years because I thought I had to do everything myself, right? And no one can do anything on their own. Like, you can only reach out so far, and then you need other people to get you into the stratospheres, right? And so the first 4 years of our marriage, we were bickering and fighting and vying over who's going to be powerful, and you're not going to control me, and I'm the boss, and I'm the boss. And so we would create all day in our careers and come home and tear it down. We couldn't ever advance. And I never really understood why until 2008, that travesty. I was pregnant with our first child. My career was essentially older. I was older as well. So that career was pretty much over. Grant's career was over 2008. We were on the verge of losing everything financially. And that's when I really had an epiphany. I had the epiphany that the only way we were going to make it out surviving was if I really put all of everything that I could bring to the table and really become an asset and really fortify together, that we could get out of this and build our empire, which we have today. But this was birthed out of that vision of 2008. So in 2008, I said, okay, what is our goal? What are we trying to do? Who are we as a couple? Not just who are we as an individual, but who are we as a couple? Like, how do we get on the same page so we're on the same team? Right now, I'm married to you, but I'm Team Elena. How do we become Team Cardone? And where are we going? So we got on the same page. Then we figured out, as I said earlier, who does what in the relationship to contribute to that heightened level of success and that goal. It fortified us. Now we could no longer fight each other because we had real enemies that didn't want to see us achieve those targets. So now we had to become strong with each other, not do all the internal bickering because that seemed irrelevant, because now we had a big purpose together. And that's what brought us together to start collaborating together to reach heightened levels of success. And ironically, I became more powerful partnering up with a man than I ever could have as a solo woman. So that's the irony of the whole thing that came out of the big lesson in 2008. And as soon as we collaborated with each other, we actually started to make huge leaps and bounds. And starting to achieve our goals. And look where we are today. We have a multi-billion-dollar company. We became billionaires. That was so unfathomable in 2008. We were literally on the verge of losing it all. Like, two people from Louisiana, I never went to college. We are not supposed to be where we are today. It's just not, the odds really don't just work in your favor. You really have to have a person that you can go through life with, that can be strong enough to hold you up and be there to support you. And certainly I do that for Grant, and vice versa. So that's when 2008 really set up the whole model for our relationship, and the whole infrastructure of the empire that we support today.
Was there a moment maybe during that time too where you thought that, you guys wouldn't survive as a couple as a result of that? Because you hear it all the time, financially, this just tears people apart, or not even necessarily as a couple, but I mean, I know that you probably thought that there was a possibility that things could just go get even worse in 2008 financially and just destroy you. But as a couple, though, did you feel like that there was maybe a couple moments like, I'm not sure if this is going to work?
Not really. In 2008, I was really, really committed to him and to us, and to making this work. And when I set my mind to something, failure really isn't an option. So I just decided to really go all in on us. And that was really my first entrepreneurial move, because I put all my chips on a guy, and I was like, this is the racehorse that I'm betting on. I'm going to support him in X, Y, and Z areas. And can he win? And, turned out I bet on a triple crown, and he won, and we won. So I never doubted it at that time. There's been another time, I think in 2020, that was our hardest time for a lot of other elements that crept in. We had the pandemic. We had to let a whole department go, because, something like that exposes the weaknesses in the organization. And we were willing to cut out that to fortify and make strong the entire organization so that we could come back and rebuild and rehire. We experienced a lot of hate for that, but it was the right decision at the time. In hindsight, maybe we jumped the gun, but I would have done it again, because I'm willing to eliminate anything that's a liability to the overall organization and viability of the empire. So sometimes you have to be willing to take those hits. But he was also doing Undercover Billionaire. That was a strain on our marriage. I had also come off this pretty big loss where everything, because again, I've said this now numerous times, I'm sort of the visionary, kind of an architect. I get these great ideas, and then I turn them over to Grant and I say, hey, there you go, execute it, so I get the easy part, but he does all the hard work. But everything I had done up until that point was a really big success, all my ideas. Well, I pointed him into this direction a little bit before 2020. I wanted to partner up with someone. I compromised my integrity and my knowingness and my policies that I had previously put in place. And I gave over the crown to this other group that I thought knew more, because we weren't billionaires at that time. They were, and I thought we had this really great collaboration. They were great people. I ignored all the red flags because I chased the dangling carrot. So I take responsibility, but the deal didn't work out. It cost us a lawsuit, which actually went nowhere in the end, but it cost us a lot in terms of we came off of what we were doing to go focus on them. So it cost us millions in that area, cost time, energy, resources, the trauma of having to go through a lawsuit, which I'm starting to be strong enough for at this point. But it devastated me, because that was my pet project and it was a colossal failure. So I was really hard on myself, and you put that with enough other circumstances. I didn't know that we were having a rough time, and I was thinking, oh my God, could I throw in the towel? Can I quit on this? And I got to the point where I was thinking maybe I should, it was a dark time for me. And what pulled me through that was when I realized, wait a minute, like, this is a guy who's always had my back. I've got to set myself straight right now, because because I'm about restoring the family dynamic. That's my purpose on this planet. I want to restore the family dynamic on this planet that's in ruin, that I believe is under attack right now. And if I am in this model couple with my husband, and I have gotten to the point where I'm doubting my relationship, that's when I had to regroup. And I thought somebody got into my head, probably more than one person, probably an influence of society. And you know what? I've got to hook up with my purpose and my allegiance to my purpose. If I break up with my husband, those forces that don't want to see families win, that want to keep people small and individuated, they win. And the minute I looked at that, and I was like, they win, because us being together and having this thing figured out is actually helping families and couples and lives across America and the world to become stronger, because I believe the family foundation is the foundation for everything. What is the point of civilization if man and woman can't get along and procreate and continue civilization and mankind, yet we're made to be individuated? So that's when I really looked. I know I'm going deep on you again, but that's when I really looked at, there's outside forces that would be so happy if Grant and I failed. And I recommitted to him, to us, to myself, to our purposes, our new goals. We had lots of communications. Okay, this is our, we've evolved into new roles, but we haven't upgraded and talked about things. And we mapped out everything. We got back on the same page on our agreements, our allegiance with each other, for each other. And since then, we've just been stronger and better than ever. But that was the lowest point in our relationship. And I believe that's why.
Man, I hope I can keep it as long as possible, because I just have so many more questions just from that. Again, we're on with Elena Cardone, folks. Again, if you're not following Elena, you definitely need to. She's an author. She's an actress. She is a real estate mogul. We're going to talk a little bit about what she's doing as well on her own. Well, it's never really on your own, but what she's kind of started out as a new venture for herself, which is growing exponentially. Again, if you'd like some more information about Elena, you could just go to elenacardone.com. You could check her out on Instagram. Just Google her and all of her stuff will come up. She's doing big things and continues to do big things. And for me, just to listen to you, Elena, I really appreciate your candor and sharing with us, your story, because I think it's important for people to understand, because I think a lot of people, right, they see the success, they see, the 5.2 of assets, 5.2 billion of assets under management. They see the Rollses and the helicopters and the planes and the houses and the $40 million house I think you guys got in Malibu. I think you guys are gonna flip that, I'm not sure, but they see all that stuff and they think, well, man, they don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to struggle. They don't know what it's like to have difficult times. They don't know what it's like to fail. And you just had a pretty big failure that really devastated you. So I wanted to just kind of go back to that for a second and talk a little bit about, the failures, because, and I know Grant's actually, I feel like he's been talking a lot more about that stuff lately, but talk about this failures. I don't have to give me specifics, but a lot of people don't understand that most of the stuff that entrepreneurs do, including probably Grant, they don't work, and you do have the failures, but talk about those moments and really how you overcome them.
You overcome the failures by being committed to your purpose and your cause, and you overcome them by realizing that there are forces against you, right? There are forces that don't want to see you win. And when I analytically go back and look at that, and to tap out and to admit defeat, just makes that side win. There's people who want to see women not be strong. There's people that want to see families degraded. There's people that want to, whatever your cause is, who are the people that are against that, and what do they do that supports that? And so what do you do for failures is you just recommit, and you get around the right information, you get around the right people, you look at who you've had in your life, you take responsibility first and foremost. So I took responsibility. I told you, I violated my policies. I thought somebody knew more than me. I chased a dangling carrot. Like, you have to know what you did to pull that in, or it's going to keep happening to you. So you got to take responsibility. Who in your life was around you that went blind to, or reassess and just start making policies. Like I told you earlier, I have that policy. Am I being naive? Don't listen. Look, what are the stats? So out of these great experiences for failures, I set up how I took responsibility. I set up the policies that are going to prevent me from experiencing that in the future. And then I look at, for me, I look at how I can use that experience for me. How can I use that to flourish and prosper? Because before, out of that experience in 2020, when everything just went to hell and back, maybe it's because I'm Italian, but I looked at the first thing I did was, okay, how can I whack them, but I knew that wasn't a reality because jail's not in my future. So I came across a reference by L. Ron Hubbard that says flourish and prosper. And when I read that, it changed my life around. And so I looked at, okay, that experience, happened to be with a billionaire. So how can we become billionaires? How can we spread our message and help all the other little people? Because clearly I felt that side was actually trying to suppress us and hold us down, right? And was unjust. So how can we do more? How can we be everywhere? How can we flourish and prosper? And out of that, I thought of the idea of the Cardone licensee program, which Grant and the team came up with. This was just a whisper campaign in his ear, right? And Cardone Capital, how can we let investors come in? And Ryan Secco and I birthed that idea. And so how can we get everyone? How can we expand? How can we really flourish and prosper? And all these great ideas came out of that. So I changed that and I channeled that negative energy into really flourishing and prospering. And how could we win? And how could we thrive? And so what happened out of that is it got my attention off of that and being unstuck and onto something better. And as a result, I have no hard feelings now. That healed me. That flourish and prosper healed me, because I don't wish ill will on them anymore, because we've helped so many people out of such goodness that came out of turning that situation into something positive. So it's really just about figuring out and being open and committed to using that energy and turning it into something powerful. And everyone has access to that ability.
Wow. You mentioned L. Ron Hubbard, and I know faith is important for everybody, whether whatever you decide to follow. You talked a little bit about, the haters that are out there, and, kind of the negativity that's out there. I happen to study, Scientology a decent amount. Every Scientologist that I know is very successful, very grounded, very smart. But I mean, if you could tell us a little bit about, faith in general. We don't have to go with the Scientology route, but faith in general has been important for you, because as I'm listening to you speak again, and a lot of the Scientologists that I do know, and the part of Scientology that I do understand is the learning process. There's always a learning process and teaching you new things. And I've actually had some people that I know gone through rehab, actually, through Dianetics and things like that. But tell us a little bit about faith as it relates for you, and then obviously your relationship.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because Scientology is not a faith-based religion. It's an applied religion. My faith-based religion is Catholicism. I'm baptized, I'm confirmed, I've never been kicked out of the Catholic Church, I'm in excellent standings. So that's my faith-based religion. And it's faith-based, it's faith. Scientology is very different. It's an applied religion. So one of the sayings there is, what's true for you is true for you. So that's why it's non-denominational. They're never going to tell you what to believe in. The word Scientology means, ology means the study of, right? So it's knowing how to know. It's knowing how to know. So the courses that I take in Scientology, I've taken 5 finance courses, personal values and integrity, a communication course, how to overcome ups and downs in life, a confidence course. I've taken so many courses that just aren't provided by my faith-based religion. So I am a Catholic practicing Scientology because I'm applying it to my life. I read material. If it's true for me, I apply it, and I can change the trajectory of my life with that information. So that's why it's never been in conflict with my Catholic religion.
Yeah, I'm not a really religious person myself. I'm Catholic, but I always almost kind of just what you're saying. Whatever works for you. I actually went through some courses with Scientology. I learned a lot actually. This whole thing isn't about Scientology. We could go down that for hours. But I think everything you said, I've always been the type of person that if I'm put in a situation that maybe I'm not even that comfortable with it, but if I can learn from it, I will. And one thing I will say about Scientology, I'm not a Scientologist, is that everything I know and everyone that I've met, they're always just evolving and learning. And it's really interesting. I've never heard anyone say what you just said. And I honestly didn't know that part of it. That there's, kind of two different, paths. You can have your faith-based religion, and then you can also have the Scientology part of it. So thanks for sharing that, with us and with me. Let's jump into, I hope we have a little bit more time. I want to jump into more about you now as your brand and what you've done. I think when I was talking with your assistant, she was asking me like, well, what are you going to talk about? And I'm like, as you could probably tell, I don't have like a list of questions. I just like to listen to you and then go from there. But you as an entity over the past several years is really, really starting to grow. You recently, got licensed. I know you're building a team with eXp Realty, but talk about, and again, I think this is still tied to your relationship with Grant, but I'd love to hear about, that thought process for you as a woman, as an individual, to kind of have this thing of you as an entity really, I'm saying on your own. I mean, I know it's never really on your own, but you're really kind of building you. I mean, Grant is continuing to build him, but now is you as an entity. I'd just like to know like what that was like and what it is like for you now.
Of building me, what's it like?
Yeah.
Well, it's a learning process for me because I have to figure out, I've never started a business. I've supported Grant with his business, our business, which is, I don't know how to do all of that. So now I became a licensed realtor for the sole purpose to help all the people that come into my organization be able to be empire builders, and our platform allows for that with the second and third sources of additional income, this leveraged income. So it's been a learning process for me because I've had to figure out how to build the infrastructure to support that business. I'm also now doing build an empire business and 10X ladies. So I have all of these things going on, yet I still have the role of a mother, and I still have the role of a wife, and I still have my philanthropic endeavor. So it's just trying to figure out how to, as you say, get better and figure it all out and get around the right information. As long as I have the right information, I'm okay. As long as I know how to apply processes or procedures that help me to have a better life, I'm okay. So
But did you feel like I mean, I think a lot of people would say, or maybe from the outside looking in, that you didn't have to do any of that stuff. I mean, you could continue to just do what you've done and, as the supporting role, I guess. Again, if I apologize if that's the wrong way to say it, but you didn't have to do all that stuff. So you added this additional, I call it stressor or what have you, to go out, get your license, to build this organization through EXP. You wrote the book and all this other stuff. You didn't have to do all that stuff, but did you do it for you? I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Is that why you've done a lot of this stuff? Because you wanted to have something that is really kind of from you, or I don't know. I'm just Is that the wrong question?
No. But I do want to help you out with something that I could tell you struggled with just now was even the word saying the supportive role. You didn't know if that was okay to say or not.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I want you to know that I struggled with that for a long time because I thought I had to be this, in order to be a powerful woman, I had to do it all by myself, never depend on anyone, but especially a man, right? For that. And now I found myself later in life, I sacrificed a lot. I gave up my career, traded it in order to trade up to what we have now, but I didn't know that at the time. Anyway, I felt like I should be embarrassed or humiliated, or women everywhere would not like me because I'm a support to my husband. And I looked up the word. Support means amongst many definitions, but the two in particular that I like the most are to show active interest in the success of. So there's no apology there. I show active interest in the success of my husband, no apology. And number two, it means strong enough to bear the weight of. So, and it mentions a support beam. So I thought about it. And if I'm a support beam, right? And I had to bear the weight of Grant Cardone, the children, all the people and the whole world that comes with the Grant Cardone thing, wouldn't I have to be stronger than the thing I was bearing the weight of? So then I thought about it and I thought, okay, so I support us. I'm the one that holds this family together. I am the glue. I am the support beam. I need to apologize for being support when I'm stronger than Grant Cardone, and anyone who has a brain can look at that and see that that's true. So that's when I really own that there's nothing degrading about being a support system at all. So, if any other woman has a problem with that, maybe you can enlighten them with how a high an honor it is to be in that role. Because I really want to destigmatize that word. I think it's another word that's used to come into the break of families and partners and man and woman together, working together. Oh, if we can make her wrong or make him wrong for supporting either side, we split them apart, then they're weak and they're not stronger together. And then we can keep everybody held down. So on that note, why am I doing what I'm doing now? Because I have Grant's support, because he shows active interest in the success of me, because I feel like my purpose is now so big. It's really, as I've mentioned before, it's to restore the family dynamic on this planet. And so I can't sit back anymore. I have to still maintain my support role with Grant and us, because that's our foundation. But now I have this opportunity to help people and couples also figure out how to get along and work well and have the similar successes. And I'm passionate about women, empowering women so that they own their power, so that they can be stronger in their lives, but then they can have the power, which is capacity or the ability to influence the behavior of others. Then they can influence their brothers, their sisters, their husbands, their children, and the ripple effect continues. They can then be the power of their community and the world, and women can change this world by really stepping up and owning that power. So these purposes are so big now that I can't just sit back and do just what I did. I can't afford that luxury anymore, because I look around and the world isn't where it should be, or my vision of it. My vision of it is when a woman is asked next to her husband and he says, "Oh, I'm the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation." And the wife says, when asked, "What do you do?" She doesn't just say, "Oh, I'm just a wife," or "I'm just a mother." Like, wait, what? Mothers are responsible for rearing productive members, productive contributing members to society. We're only responsible for the procreation of civilization and all of mankind. Okay, so now when asked, "What do you do?" "I'm the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation." "Wow, that's cool. What do you do?" "I'm a mother." "Wow, you're a mother." Like, wow. Like, until I see that world and women owning who they are and what we contribute to this planet, I can't sit back and do nothing and just be happy being in planes and helicopters and $40 million homes, which are all nice and lovely and wonderful. But I don't base my success on what we've gotten. My success now comes from my legacy play, which is how many other people can be successful and have the life that they envision as well.
You are good, man. All right. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but I did want to talk to you about your daughters. You know, I see them from afar, right? And some of the things that they're up to. And, but I'd love to hear, your thoughts on, kind of now, I wouldn't say putting them on the spot, out in the spotlight, but they're a part of the organization now, right? And was there any sort of hesitation or even resistance from either one of you about, do we really want to put our kids out there like the way you have? And I'd just love to hear like what the thought process has been for you. Because I think a lot of parents want to, protect their kids. I mean, especially the way social media is now. I'm sure that there's probably haters and everything else out there. What's that been like for you to parent and to educate and to help your children grow in this world that we're living in today?
Well, it's our responsibility to make the environment safe. So there is that concern. But I believe we are making the environment safe for them. We control their social media they post, but we watch who they're talking to and who has communications with them. Here's the thing. I've indoctrinated our kids since we were very little. I've told them, look, we're Team Cardone. We want to help people. We want to make a difference for the better. This is how we do it. We do seminars. We do blah, 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 blah. Since they were little, they've been taught this, and of course, when they were little, I would say, Mama and Papa are superheroes. Do you want to be a superhero too? And do you like this mission? Do you want to be a part of it? I allowed them to exchange with us. So they would help us, whether it's emptying trash cans at the office or making phone calls or being okay at an early age. If we had to go off and be at a seminar, being okay, I always put them in charge. I say, you're responsible for taking care of the house and watching the nanny. And when you don't have a problem and you don't require my attention, I can give my attention and Grant can give his attention to this audience, and then they can go home and be better parents and do better in business and help their families. And when you allow us to do that, you're actually helping them too. That's how you contribute. That is your role, if you so choose this, of how you can contribute. So they've been allowed to contribute since they were very young in any ways that they wish to contribute. Sometimes it's with a smile. Sometimes it's putting on shows for you, and they want to be happy, right? They want to make you happy. So they've always been invited to be a part of this world. And so we allow them to contribute because they want to exchange. I don't want to shelter them and make them fear the world. So trying to protect and shelter your child so much, I believe can be detrimental. Again, I'm not talking about putting adult problems on a child's lines, like they shouldn't know about certain things. I agree. But again, that's my responsibility to keep the environment safe. But again, like I told our children, I never said be dangerous, watch out, be careful. Like we never let them hear the words be careful. Why? Because that's introverting. I'm scared of the world, but yet they have to go out into the world and they have to meet people. And we never said don't talk to strangers. Again, we make the environment safe so that they can talk to strangers, because as they get older, they have to talk to people and communicate. It's people that have everything you want. If you're reared to be so scared of everyone and everything, it puts an introversion on a child and an adult. So it's just different ways that we've reared the children to be competent, and as they get older, they will be made aware of certain things and elements to look out for and be cautious of. But until they become age appropriate, it's our job to not have that in their universe. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, no, I do.
Yeah.
And it's, look, it's a decision as a parent that any parent I think would have to make about whatever life they live. And how much they decide to share with their kids and how they decide to set up their lives. And I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I know we don't have a lot of time. I want to ask one last question as I'm listening to you and all the things that you're doing. You're a mom, you're a wife, you're an empire builder, you're an author, you're a speaker, you're super fit too. I watched you're doing all this stuff. How do you find the time? What's your day like? What time are you getting up in the morning? Because I think a lot of people like look at all the stuff that you might be doing and just listening to you. Some people might be overwhelmed. Like, how does she do all this stuff? How do you do all this stuff?
Well, I keep a schedule and I have discipline, so I just do it anyway. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. And it's pretty busy, but I also don't have to be the superhero, which means I don't have to do everything all to myself. So as we've built up ourselves and our organization, empires require people. So now I can have the luxury of having a housekeeper. I can have a family assistant, a nanny. I can delegate. I can have an executive assistant. I can delegate so that I can prioritize my time, energy into being the most effective for my life.
I love it. Again, I really appreciate you being here. I could talk to you for the next 2 hours, but you're busy. We're doing a lot of stuff. So I appreciate you making the time for us. Again, we've been on with Elena Cardone, and there's so much to her life, but she gave us this hour, and I appreciate you doing that. Again, if you'd like some more information about Elena, if you want to work with her, she actually works with individuals as well. If you're thinking, hey, you know what? If she can do all this stuff, I can do all this stuff as well. You go to our website, elenacardone.com. You could take a look at some of the things that she's doing. You could take a look at her, obviously her book and some of the other courses that she's offers to people as well. Doing a lot of stuff. And if you've listened to everything she said, she's really doing it to help humankind. And she said it a bunch of times in several different ways. So if you want to learn, if you want to get better, if you want to 10x your life, go to elenacardone.com. Check her out. You could obviously check her out on Instagram. It's also Elena Cardone, and her TikTok is Elena Cardone Official. Just Google her. She's doing some awesome stuff. An amazing woman, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Mike Alden. That's Elena Cardone, and we'll see you soon.
I'm super excited about our latest program. Look, we've been on television for close to 20 years, literally selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products and services that have had a positive impact on people's lives. We've created millionaires. If you've ever watched television, you've most likely seen me on television, not dressed like this, but in a suit and in a tie. Listen, we've re-engineered the process. We're allowing people, a small group of people, whether you're an author, whether you're a business coach, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you have a program or a service that you feel as though that can have a positive impact on people's lives, and you want to up-level your game. You're tired of what's going on social media. You're tired of AI is not kicking in. You're tired of all the money that you spent and you're not seeing any return. You're tired of all these fraudsters out there that tell you they're going to put you in Huffington Post or USA Today or Forbes, and it's nothing just but a joke. You want to be in front of millions of people every single day all over the country. Folks, we've been doing it for 20 years. We've re-engineered the process. We've made it possible for the average everyday person to participate in this. If you want to up-level your game, if you truly want to build your profile, if you truly want to get in front of millions of people every single day, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. You'll see it on the bottom of the screen, at Mike Alden 2012, and put TV in the message, and I will get back to you personally and see if you're a good fit for us. Again, send me a direct message at Mike Alden 2012. Send me the message TV, and we'll see if you're a good fit.